If you're wondering why I got into adult entertainment, I basically couldn't afford medicated dog food for a dog.
All support. The comments are all love and light. And I just want to say, how come it's so cute for a man to do it, but you have a problem with women do it? Women don't get to make money doing anything. If you're teaching or nursing or something, you're supposed to be doing it for the love of the students or the patients. Nobody ever thinks you need money to live. If you ever want to be paid for something as a woman, you are a gold. Inside the house or outside the house, whether it's the work of looking beautiful or being available, being a listening ear, doing emotional labor, being a woman is work, and people hate to see you be compensated for it.
I've just been thinking about this recently, and there's two examples I want to give that perfectly summarize all of her points. That's my mutual. I'm sure you follow her, but I tagged the video in my caption. Go watch the whole thing. Pamela Anderson and what happened to her, and Charlie Sheen's daughter. Let's start with Charlie Sheen's daughter. So Charlie Sheen, who I could probably make 10 videos on in terms of just how problematic he is. I'm guessing he probably wasn't the best dad, just based on, everything we read in the news and the way he treated his wife or the mother of his children. So his daughter just turned 18. And when she decided to make an OnlyFans account, guess who wasn't okay with it? He did not condone his daughter's decision to use OnlyFans, and he told her to keep it classy. Because if there's anyone who's classy, it's definitely this guy, right? And then he also went on to say that, she's 18 years old now and living with her mother. This did not occur under my roof. Suggesting that, of course, because everything's always blamed on the moms, right? Even when publicly we know this man is terrible, I am sure it's the mother who messed him up. Now, given the fact that anyone who ends up in relationships with men like this is going to be pretty sick too, I say this as someone who was in a terrible abusive relationship. She probably had some codependency and enabling stuff that she had to unlearn. Hopefully she has and had done whatever healing. But this man, the audacity to be like, it's her mom's fault. Now, Denise Richards was very publicly supportive of her daughter and was pissed that he would accuse her of being the reason why his daughter wanted to be on OnlyFans. All I can do as a parent is guide her and trust her judgment, but she makes her own choices. And then she also was like, oh my God, did y'all hear my dog fart? Did you just fart in your sleep, Moose? Are you ashamed? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to shame you. Sorry. So anyway, she admitted that, she was in Wild Things and Playboys and understands that, women have to make their money. They're allowed to make their money the way they want to make their money. Men don't get a say in it. She even admitted she was concerned at first because she knows the consequence of being on those platforms. She knows how the media is, how the public is. People are going to judge any woman who's on those platforms because of the double standard and the hypocrisy of men like Charlie Sheen. But at the end of the day, it was yeah, it's her choice. I support it. And then all of a sudden, Charlie Sheen backtracked. He said all the right, some salient points that in my haste I overlooked and dismissed. Of course, it was just out of concern for his daughter. But you know what? He's going to support her now. That, even though he himself is such a rebel and nonconformist, I think when your child is involved, it presents as just a whole different alternative set of circumstances. Oh, right. Don't we just love it when dads all of a sudden feel differently about women when it's their daughters? And then he's like, I have to have confidence and just know in my heart that all of her virtues and all of her wonderfulness that makes her come with her. I believe her to be incorruptible. What do you mean by that word? Corrupted by who? Men like you? I swear to God, men who are so protective of their daughters are usually men who are guilty of doing those things. I'm not saying that parents shouldn't be protective of their kids, but men that are obsessed with their daughter's purity and all that stuff are usually men who either A, have abused them themselves, or B, which is very common, is that they have abused and ranked and coerced lots of women in their past, and they just don't want other men doing it to their property. Because a lot of men don't even see their daughters as human beings. They see them as an extension of themselves or some sort of property, not autonomous human beings who do their own thing and don't owe their fathers jack. But guess what? The real reason for his turn, allegedly, based on what his wife says, he changed his tune when he realized just how much money his daughter's going to get. Student, after just a year on the platform, bought a Mercedes, moved into a house. She can buy her own house now. And all of a sudden, daddy's supportive. Daughters create such a mind fork for men. Because they're like, how do I protect her from men like me? Because she makes me look bad. She lets men like me treat her like I would if she wasn't my daughter. Or sometimes sometimes even if she is your daughter, because incest is way more common than people think. And sometimes it's just emotional. Sometimes nothing actually happens, but a lot of men treat their daughters like they're their wives. And a lot of mothers treat their sons the same way. That's another video. So what does this have to do with Pamela Anderson? I finally rewatched Pamela, A Love Story on Netflix. I have multiple videos I'm going to make about this because so everything I talk about is in this one movie. But this one point I want to make is that when that construction worker stole all those tapes, all those schmegs tapes of her and Tommy, tried to blackmail her for them when they wouldn't pay that, basically sold it to all the, anyway, they got released. And she tried to fight, not just for herself, but for all women who would ever be put in this situation. Because she's like kind of one of the first people that really went through this, because this happened right as the internet was becoming a thing. This was also before the Kardashians and other people started using schmegs tapes as a way to become famous. But then, of course, they assumed that that's what she had done all along. Like, it's ridiculous. Through her experience and this really traumatizing experience for her, she realized that this is the new norm. This is going to happen to lots of women. She was trying to fight for legislation that would make it a crime to do what they did to her to anyone else. But she didn't know that she was going to be completely humiliated in the process. She was also pregnant at the time and had a new baby. So she's super stressed out. She's just been traumatized, humiliated, basically essayed by the world, because without her consent, they're all watching her have schmegs. So she wanted to set a precedent with this case, but she was pregnant when the deposition started. She'd already had a miscarriage with Tommy before. They're really afraid that was going to happen again because of all of the stress. So they finally wore her out. She quit. I appreciate her going through all this and at least trying, but it would take, I don't know, a couple more decades for this to ever, you know what I mean? Men want so bad to have free access to us and to use photos of us that that we send them or they take from us. Like my ex took pictures of me while I was asleep and then used them as his Twitter profile photo. Men want so bad to be able to brag to the world about what they got, or to make money off of our bodies without our consent. And as soon as a woman fights to get paid or compensated or to make this stuff illegal, all of a sudden, the world turns on her, because that's exactly what happened to her. In that courtroom, they had all these photos of her without clothes on. And I can't show any of these, but they basically used these photos, tried to argue that because she'd played and posed for Playboy and had shown her body to other people before, that there's nothing wrong with what's happening to her now. And she was like, yeah, but I chose to pose for Playboy and I got paid by Playboy. I did not choose this. I did not consent to this. But most men do not understand the concept of consent when it comes to women. They do when it comes to themselves, but not when it comes to women. Because when you don't see us as humans, and you feel entitled to our bodies no matter what, then why would you care? Why should men have to pay you to see your body? What's the difference between Playboy and a schmegs tape that was stolen? To them, there's no difference. To her, this was like getting raped again. And one of the most powerful things I think about this movie was that she talked about how Playboy was very empowering for her. And I really want us to look at schmegs work this way, because some people do schmegs work. It's got nothing to do with trauma. I don't want to make an assumption that all schmegs work is tied to trauma. It is making money. Women need to make money. I have actually had several schmegs workers in my life, and one of them was in dental school, and that was paying for her to have a better life. So first of all, I want to say all that. But the reason why this was so empowering for her is because her first schmegsual experience had an essay from her female babysitter, 3 or 4 years of abuse. And then of course she put herself in harm's way sometimes to protect her brother from him also getting abused. She wanted that babysitter to die, and then the babysitter did die in a car accident, so then she thought she was responsible for it, because any kid thinks that way. She's got that trauma, so she becomes a tomboy. This was me, y'all. I was also essayed as a child. I also was a tomboy. I don't think it's necessarily related, but I was a tomboy. And then when she was 12, a 25-year-old man came over with his friend, asked if she wanted a massage. It's always a massage, y'all. And raped her. So she says that she started shooting nude photos. She felt like she was breaking free of something. I totally get that. A wild woman was born. Said she's going to take back the power of her own sexuality, because her first 2 experiences had been traumatizing. She wanted to own her schmegsuality because it had been stolen from her by 2 different people. Once she opened that door, men like this, who was actually a predator, and this constantly asked her about her boobs and her body, trying to take that empowerment back. Men hate more than anything women who own their schmegsuality.